University.
As Camille said, I'm Kate Sicchio. I'm a choreographer and media artist and lecturer at University of Lincoln. And
so we're just basically here, and we've been just back from Australia as well, where we did some talks and workshops on our project Hacking the Body. And on a really basic level, it's working with different kinds of sensors, and we're creating our own sensors, biofeedback, and other kinds of. Right now, we're working with any kind of sensor to work with soft circuits, which means working with conductive fabrics and threads and Arduinos and other kinds of electronics. You want to carry on?
Yeah, so we're also interested in this idea of what hacking means and the ethics or the ethos of hacking and how that can be used within performative contexts in particular, and how sort of the collaborative ethos of hacking can be used within a methodology for making performative work with technology.
So just briefly, this is a bit of a whirlwind about my background. I've gone from dance to being a gallery curator, to being a video artist, to being in bands, to having an online magazine, to being a curator of a media art festival in Canada, working with some interesting researchers in Canada who did some early wearable projects in 2002, 2005 period. So that's a bit about me.
So I'm mostly a dancer choreographer. However, I work a lot with technology. I've worked primarily with video tracking technologies and real-time visuals in live performance. And I've also done a lot of work around, or recently done work around live coding in dance, and been collaborating with some live coders.
So this project, Hacking the Body, came out of our individual work and our PhD projects. My work was working with biofeedback sensors to make some kind of collaborative VJing work whereby data from the body would then send signal through the network to trigger some kind of visuals that were attached or put onto video that was created through various workshops that I'd done with mobile phones, and trying to look at this idea of using the mobile phone as an expressive video platform, and then exploring ways to play with that. So that was my work. And then Kate?
Like I said, been working a lot with real-time video and motion sensing and tracking via video within live performance, and how can that be integrated in a more seamless way into choreography rather than trying to make a piece and then adding a video projection afterwards. I was much more interested in how movement interacted with visuals.
So we came up with this idea of hacking the body to try to combine these two works, and we discovered through these kinds of environments that there's something going on that's different with using the term hacking, but in the general public, the term hacking is considered this criminal, has criminal connotations, but we've researched into this area theoretically and otherwise, and discovered, there's been a hacker subculture for quite some time now, and it's generally more this idea of having a technical elite who explores repurposing in consumer electronics like we have here in an imaginative way. So we wanted to find a way to explore this in our own performative works.
And I think this concept of repurposing or subverting really is what hacking is about to us. How do we take something such as data from the body and make it into a visual? How do we take something like yarn and make it into a breath sensor? So this idea of repurposing has really come through for us as one of our main ideas in the definition we're using of hacking.
And we're still beginning this project, but people have asked many times, how do you hack the body? And so it comes back to this idea of taking data either from the inside or from gestural information that we gather in various ways through video sensing or accelerometers or other kinds of tools, and finding ways to take that data to use, as Kate says, repurpose it into some kind of different form. And this is also, as you can see around here, is very much working with this collaborative mindset and finding ways to explore the metaphor, but also the ethos around hacking into hacking the body, to expand what it means to explore technology in terms of gathering data from the body. Do you want to carry on?
And also, as part of that, we're interested in a performative aspect and how can technology become performative. So it's about providing like a practical way for performers to start to use with technologies. That's the other side of this, and really forming a collaboration that's not a hierarchy. This is my pet peeve. I've been called into work as a programmer for other dance artists, and then I just have to do what their vision and don't get a say in it as a technologist. And I've worked on the other side where I've worked with a technologist, and they felt subservient to my vision. And I'm much more interested in what happens when people work together to create something that's bigger than just one artist.
So for this project, Hacking the Body, we're trying to explore this idea of this open source movement that's been happening and that we're trying to be, a part of, to repurpose and reimagine internal signals from the body, how to harness those signals in various forms of physiological data, breath, heartbeat, possibly brain waves. We're also looking into some other kinds of data. We're interested in new mobile MRIs and what's the other one? Ultrasound, yeah. To explore ways we can play with that data, and we've been exploring avenues in which we can do that. And then to find new types of interactive presentation or playful performances or interactive, let's say, installation type works. So we're trying to do two things: harness this data from the body to make interesting work for ourselves and for others, but also to develop new working methods, as Kate said, to pass on that data in that open source sense to other performers and various kinds of artists out there. Now, we see tons of sound artists here, and there's lots of things going on in the sound domain, but very much still developing in theater and dance and other aspects of performance. Did you want to add anything to that?
That's fine.
Nope. Okay. So we've got some images we're going to show you. Some of the work that, the next few images, some of the work we've been involved in or that we've helped to facilitate in others, or some of our own projects. Should we skip this? Okay. So some of the early stuff that we've been working on. And these are all beginning toward 3 hacks that we are developing. And these hacks are one is starting from the inside out, which is sort of more from my background. The other one, hack 2, is around from the outside in and finding ways to communicate gesturally through the body back to the skin, perhaps. I'm interested in biofabrics and some of the work some fashion designers have been working on in creating fabrics out of milk or out of fungus, and how we can somehow integrate these wearable technologies and soft circuits into that. So finding a way back to the body. And then our third hack, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so our third one is looking at how do we combine the inside and outside in a more visual way, I guess. So we're interested in this idea we had of creating an AR app that, as you pass it along your body, it starts to expose information about what's going on inside of you.
Yeah, and we're still, as I said, working on that. So we're at the beginning of our process here. Some of the things that we've been doing, exploring different kinds of sensing technologies and sensing possibilities of making our own sensors. Did you want to talk about this one?
So one of the things I've been working on is DIY breath sensors that are crocheted. So I have some samples of these upstairs, and I've just been crocheting a simple stretch sensor with conductive yarn and cotton yarn, and then I've been performing with them, but I wear them on my ribs so they stretch with my breath while I'm dancing. And I have a piece that I've made where that's controlling granular synthesis soundscape that I'm performing with. So that's one of the examples of a DIY biosensor that we're interested in working with. Here's another shot of it.
Yeah. And as I said, we're also going to be exploring other kinds of medical sensors. We've been doing a lot of showing and telling, but haven't been managing to get the money. So we're in the process of getting the money to get to the next level. And so some of the things we also want to work with, as I said, is some of these little bit more expensive mobile medical technologies, perhaps also working with things like blood sugar analysis, and combining those kinds of medical technologies with Xbox, the Wii, Connect, and other, as she said, AR tools, to make interesting applications and or performative pieces. So some more work that we have, and this is an example of some AR projects that we thought were interesting. Someone we know, this guy Xander Veenhoff, is doing really interesting work, and we've discussed working together with some of the kinds of things he's discovered around AR. Wanting to make these projects not only performative but also interactive so the common public can work with them. And here's some of the things that we feel are really key to the project. So working with open source, exploring different ways of revealing hidden, intimate, and sensuous code of the body.
As we're doing now, working with inexpensive electronic kits, easy to learn open source programming environments, soft circuits, and other technologies for wearable crafting.
And finding ways to engender or embed the DIY ethos into the work. A lot of the people we've been talking to haven't been part of this environment, and they're not really, a lot of academic artists or other artists out there who work in performance aren't really aware of this movement, so we're trying to bring it into the academic and art domain a little bit more, at least the academic domain.
And then, yeah, this idea of performances that might use mobiles or other hacked devices within a live artwork is another aim of the project.
And we've talked about some of these things. We're also looking at different ways of creating various kinds of performance interactions and generative elements in the work, and finding ways to learn from other artists who work with music, dance, DIY, etc. Some examples of things that we've gotten ourselves involved in. This is some workshop images. We just did 3 workshops in Sydney on soft circuits and working with conductive fabrics and wearables. Some of the projects that people came up with when we worked with them. And that's it. And we went over time a bit. Keep it up there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can take any questions if there's any.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
You mentioned blood sugar sensors as well. That, can you elaborate on that?
We just have the idea at the moment. We haven't actually.
But we've found some technologies out there that we'd like to work with, so it's beginning stages, but the idea would be to find ways to take that data and do something with it. We're not interested, one thing that's really important, we're not interested in just showing data because there are medical technologies that do that. It's not interesting to us. It's interesting to what can we make artistically or performatively from that data. Any other questions? Thoughts? Suggestions? No?
If you want to talk to us more, we do have a table upstairs, I think in Studio 3, so come find us.
Thank you.